Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We have talked about several lawsuits in the Jeffrey Epstein case, and there are still several moving through the system as we speak. Well, today we're going to talk about another one of these lawsuits, put forward in May by a lady named Angela Clemente, who is demanding that the FBI release files that relate to Jeffrey Epstein. So let's jump into this article from McClatchy, D.C., and get a look at what Angela Clemente is asking for. This article was published by McClatchydc.com. The author of this article is Kevin G. Hall. Headline: Muckrakers fight to unseal FBI files on Jeffrey Epstein kept alive by judge. And we're seeing more and more of this, right? More and more we're seeing judges in this Jeffrey Epstein case make decisions that benefit the public. For so long, we saw judges make the opposite rulings. For so long, we saw the judges protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cohorts. But it most certainly has looked like the worm has turned as of late. What's going on in Judge Preska's courtroom is very promising, and what we see here with this judge keeping this lawsuit alive is also promising. And we're not talking about a high-profile person here, right? Angela Clemente is a citizen. She's not somebody who has the power of the Miami Herald behind them or a bunch of backing by a bunch of people who have money or anything like that. She's just a citizen like the rest of us who has had enough and decided to file a lawsuit. So I hope that the judge continues to rule in her favor, and I hope that he releases all of these documents. A federal judge on Tuesday kept alive a citizen muckraker's quest to pry loose, for the public's benefit, tens of thousands of FBI documents about disgraced financier, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, including his time as a government informant. Whoa, government informant? That must come as a serious shock to the legacy media and to the unsullied, right? To the people who only listen to the legacy media. Jeffrey Epstein, an informant? Wait, I thought there was no sort of intelligence angle here. That's what the incredible Julie K. Brown told us all, right? Meanwhile, back here in reality, self-styled public information crusader Angela Clemente sued in May, seeking to force the FBI to release documents on the grounds that Epstein is now dead, a bit under mysterious circumstances, and that there is an overarching public interest in releasing documents. The Justice Department, representing the FBI, is fighting the effort. Isn't that how it always works with the Justice Department? The Justice Department is just, I don't even know what to say about the Justice Department at this point. It's an absolute dumpster fire. And not just now, it was a dumpster fire under Bush. It was a dumpster fire most certainly under Obama, and it most certainly is a dumpster fire under Trump. How in the world do you let Jeffrey Epstein, of all people, get killed in your care? In a status hearing Tuesday morning, Judge Trevor N. McFadden, who sits on the District Court for the District of Columbia, allowed Clemente's public records lawsuit to continue. But he also put both sides on notice that he expected some agreement when they come before him again on October 23rd. So it looks like the judge is telling both sides that they better come to an agreement as far as the documents are concerned by the next time they come before him on October 23rd. I like a judge who's not effing around in the courtroom with this, right? Bring me the facts. Let's see the facts. Let's get the documents released, and let's move on with our lives. No need for the histrionics. No need for the pomp and circumstance. Let's get on with the people's business. Arguing against a broad document release, Assistant U.S. Attorney Brenda Gonzalez-Horowitz told the judge that the FBI had already released more than 10,000 documents and is likely to invoke an exemption from releasing thousands of additional documents under the Freedom of Information Act, citing a provision that allows records to be kept private during ongoing prosecutions or investigations. How many times have I railed about that? How many times are they going to use that as an excuse to keep you and I from knowing what's going on behind the curtain? They seem to forget that they work for us. They seem to forget that all of that documentation is ours and not theirs. Well, it's time for them to get a reality check. Clemente's lawyer, James Jim Lazar, told McFadden that the FBI continues to sit on documents for which it already cited other provisions that effectively waived privacy protections. And, in any event, Epstein is dead, and the public has a right to know about Epstein's relationship with the FBI. What? Full stop. Epstein's relationship with the FBI? He didn't have one of those. According to the legacy media, that tells us Clinton only visited on Epstein's plane 4 times. That he had no relationship with the FBI. There was no intelligence angle here. You're just a conspiracy theorist, folks. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were just such super arch criminals that they were able to pull this off with no support from their friends in the FBI or in the CIA. Yeah, that's a very likely story, and I'm totally buying that one. That one is absolutely, positively founded in truth. Said nobody ever. There's a national and global press interest in this case, and the press has the right to know now, not a year from now, what those documents say, Lazar argued. I kind of like this Lazar character, huh? My kind of lawyer, a guy going in there and telling the judge, look, the public has a right to know what the hell went on. Was the FBI protecting Jeffrey Epstein? We need to know that. And if the FBI was, who covered it up? Who put it into play, and why aren't they rotting away in prison? Documents released more than a decade ago, he argued, established that Epstein was given a light sentence in Florida when accused of sex crimes against underage girls and, in exchange, agreed to become an informant. Well, I don't know about all of that. I think Epstein was working with the government way before that. Right? We know that there's been reports about him talking about how he would track down money for the CIA and track down money. So we know that he had ties to the government a long time ago. Mr. Steve Hoffenberg has talked about it as well. So I get it, right? Them trying to paint him as an informant here. If that's going to get these documents released, then I'm all for it. And he might have been an informant for them too, by the way. You ever hear of Whitey Bulger? Yeah, that's right, Whitey Bulger, an informant. While he was working for the FBI, he was still clipping people. Same goes for Gregory Scarpa. You familiar with Gregory Scarpa? Google him if not. Here's just a little bit about him. At one point, the FBI enlisted Gregory Scarpa to go down and, let's say, not finesse secrets from KKK members. Okay? That's the kind of guy Gregory Scarpa was. And the FBI employed him down in Mississippi to get answers from scuzzbag KKK members. So if you think the FBI doesn't work with informants who have, let's say, checkered pasts, and they don't turn them and use them as their tools, well, you might want to check out a few books. Of utmost interest to the public is how much Epstein was being paid for his informant activities, Lazar argued, citing unverified claims that Epstein had ties to drug traffickers and organized crime. The taxpayers have a right to know immediately what their money was being spent on. Yeah, that definitely is the case, right? I know as a tax-paying citizen, I want to know where my money's going. I want a full accounting of every single dollar and how it was spent. Obviously, I know that'll never happen, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And this lawyer demanding accountability here for how that money was spent, and if the FBI has a file that says Epstein was an informant, I think it's time for the public to see that, no? Multiple news reports in late February said that a top Justice Department official was taken by surprise during a closed-door congressional briefing when lawmakers demanded to know if the FBI maintained a relationship with Epstein. Well, how about that, huh? The Justice Department was taken aback when Congress demanded from lawmakers if they had a relationship with Epstein? Don't you think that's kind of important? Shouldn't there be some congressional hearings about that? I know they're busy with all of their really tough jobs that they have going on right now, in between their effing vacations. But can somebody hold some hearings, please? Can we bring in the head of the FBI? Can we bring in everybody who is involved, please? I mean, is that too much to ask for some transparency in this Jeffrey Epstein case? Can we just, have a full accounting of what occurred, please, from the FBI? A model turned investigative paralegal, Clemente is an unconventional crusader. She wants access to records for her decade-long investigation into the deaths of young women in Ohio and a purported sex trafficking ring that brought underage girls to and from Palm Beach. Look, I've said for a very long time that there might be more here, right? I don't know. None of us know. I'm keeping the door open to all of this stuff. My question still stands, and nobody's been able to answer it for me. What happened to all of the unnamed hundreds of girls we have not heard from? Are they still alive? Were they, is there something more devious at hand here? That's where Epstein kept one of his many homes. Ohio is where Leslie Wexner, and founder of the L Brands empire, lives, and where a key chapter of Epstein's storied rise to fortune occurred, and also where they kept Maria Farmer hostage. Let's not forget that part, okay? How about we add that every time we talk about Leslie Wexner and his disgusting-ass wife, and that bitch-ass punk Randy Bowie, so-called head of security. Old boy will get pieced up. No public documents tie either Wexner or Epstein to the missing girls, but Clemente alleges that state and federal officials in Ohio have failed to properly investigate the murders. At least one of Epstein's accusers has told authorities she was abused in Ohio. And there is a huge problem in New Mexico with girls that are missing, especially indigenous girls. As you all know, I'm working on a project right now about the West Mesa bone collector and the missing girls that were found at the West Mesa Plateau. So I've always wondered what the hell was going on in New Mexico with the trafficking, and is it just a coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein has property in New Mexico and Ohio and Palm Beach where all of this trafficking and these girls are being run from? Is that just a coincidence? Or is there more to the story that even we have not uncovered yet? Clemente's lawyer wants the FBI to produce documents at a pace of 5,000 a month, something that's not possible, the assistant U.S. attorney told the judge. I think 5,000 a month is a lot, right? They have to go through them and all of that. But hey, I'm all for it. If the judge says that they can pump out 5,000 a month, well, I'll be reading 5,000 a month. Believe that. There is just a set of documents, Gonzalez Horowitz said, adding that the process takes a lot of time. When Lesser tried to insist his request was reasonable, the judge cut him short. I'm not going to order that. We're going to proceed the way I propose, McFadden said, ordering instead that the two sides agree on a new set of about 100 FBI documents identified as releasable when they come before him again next month. I think that's a pretty fair way to start, right? 100 documents. Let's start with that. Let's get that ball rolling, and let's see what's what. Look, folks, I'm not saying that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in, some sort of killing spree of these girls, but I don't know, right? I think that Angela Clemente's investigation and the thread she's pulling on is worthy of a look. I think that there is still so much that we do not know. that I am on board with every avenue being traversed at this point. Because when I first came into this, there was a lot of shit I didn't believe, right? Now, a year later, my eyes have been pulled wide the F open. Although Clemente didn't get the blanket release she continues to seek, she was undeterred. I will not be lessening or limiting what I am asking for, and the records that they are trying to say are already available in the FBI vault are not responsive to my request or lawsuit, Clemente said after the hearing. The judge also issued warning Tuesday to the Justice Department that it had one shot to convince him why the laws say the documents shouldn't be released. He said he would not preside over multiple hearings. I like this judge's way he's going about it, right? I don't want multiple hearings. We don't need that shit. Let's get to the bottom of all of this. At some point, these judges have to step up and do the right thing. And we're seeing more and more of that as we go along. But I understand that a lot of people are shell-shocked. Throughout the years in this case, we've had plenty of judges that have shit the bed when they've had a chance to be the hero. The question now is, are any of these judges capable of putting on the cape and doing the right thing? If I deny that motion, you should realize there is the potential that we're going to trial, he said. The Justice Department is likely taking Clemente seriously. She achieved a measure of fame for her dogged pursuit of FBI records regarding mobsters who were on the FBI payroll even as they murdered rivals. Her digging, featured in a New York Times long profile of her in June 2013, led to the indictment of an FBI agent alleged to have protected mob bosses. So she has chops, right? Angela Clemente isn't somebody who's just, some yahoo. This is a lady who knows what she's doing, has been down this road before, and has battled with the FBI over these records previously. So she's not somebody who's coming in here as a shrinking violet. And she was linked to another big law enforcement matter. One of Clemente's mob sources correctly informed her that Terry Nichols, the co-conspirator in the homegrown terror bombing in Oklahoma City in 1995, had confided that the FBI had missed a cache of explosives hidden in his home in Harrington, Kansas, and that the two bombers had accomplices. Clemente's suit against the FBI is just one of many potential overlapping legal matters. The Attorney General of the U.S. Virgin Islands has brought a civil racketeering case against the Epstein estate, which is also being settled in court there. As you well know, we've been covering that ad nauseum at this point. If anything breaks in that civil case, we will be right here to cover it. And as far as Clemente goes, look, this is a woman that should be taken seriously, right? What she has to say should be listened to. It should not be discounted. And I, for one, will be following how this breaks down as we move closer to the judge making a ruling. Epstein's alleged madam, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag and bipedal serpent, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested in July in New Hampshire and awaits federal trial. She is trying to block the release of a deposition she gave in a civil suit settled in 2017 with an Epstein accuser, arguing it will prejudice her federal case. And that will be heard on October 13th. Originally scheduled for the 22nd, it was moved to October 13th. The Miami Herald has sued for the release of all documents in that settled case, and a district judge ruled in the Herald's favor, but an appeal is scheduled for next month. So here we are, folks. Another player on the stage, Angela Clemente, doing that good work and trying to force the issue. I'm really stoked to see where it goes, too. Because somebody who has outed the FBI for their work with mob informants is somebody that the FBI most certainly is taking seriously. And we all know that there has been some serious dereliction of duty within the United States government, the FBI, and the Department of Justice as a whole. And if Miss Clemente's lawsuit helps hold them accountable, then you can sign me up. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back later on and we'll pick the conversation back up. I hope everybody has a great day.